So, welcome to the Starting Strong webinar. Um, we're going to be talking about, beginning any new chapter really with a brand new set of goals, with momentum and with positivity, and how do you start the right way, right? Because what happens, especially in the Mary Kay world, now, none of the things that I talk about are going to be Mary Kay specific, but it happens in the Mary Kay world also. And like at the end of the year, towards the end of June, a lot of people, or even going into June or May, a lot of people are really kind of beating themselves up and wishing they could start over again. And they're wishing they did things differently in July and August and September. So now's that time that you've got to avoid the mistakes that maybe you might have made last year. Now's the time to do all the things that you wish you could have gone back and done over again. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people start the year slowly. It just came down off of maybe a huge push to get your goals, or to try to get your goals, and then people are moving into the seminar year. So the beginning of July for a lot of people is a slow month energetically, and that's a huge mistake, because if you don't start your business, hit the ground running, then your momentum is not going to build. I'll talk about all this stuff a little bit more in detail here in a little bit. First of all, congratulations on attending this webinar. I know there's all kinds of other stuff you could be doing. And you see in the bottom right-hand corner, in the left-hand corner, we've got a couple icons. We have a brand new pinkcaddiecoach.com blog over there on the right. And over here on the left, we've got a Facebook fan page that a lot of you are a part of. If you're not a part of that fan page, go over there, jump on it, and like it. And it's a really vibrant live community right now. So let's talk about this webinar. What I'm going to do is over the next, 60, 70, 80, 90 minutes, however long we have together, I'm going to be teaching you as much as I possibly can that I've learned, and the stuff that I teach from some of my higher trainings and private coaching, to do 4 things. Start this year strong. Keep building momentum. That's a big issue for a lot of people. Their momentum goes up and down, big roller coaster. I want you to crush all of your goals, but you have to have fun in the process. If you're not having fun in the process, then um, what's the point, right? So that's my intention for this webinar. Like I said, I'm going to give you everything I possibly can. I'm not going to attempt to overwhelm you with a bunch of how-tos. That's never the problem anyway. What we're going to do is we're going to go deeper into some of the inner game stuff that's really critical to your success and long-term sustainability of your business. It's the mindset, as pretty much everybody knows, that's going to dictate your success or failure in business, right? And I don't want to inform you, I want to inspire you. So that's my mission for tonight. And you're in the right place if you're not where you want to be. First of all, you'll never be where you want to be. So I would be scared if you don't have that thought, right? And so if you have that thought that you're not where you want to be, great. That means there's more room for improvement. And it means you're human and you still want more. So you're in the right spot. If you're serious about success and you're really willing to do whatever it takes, for as long as it takes to intentionally build your business, then you're in the right spot and you're willing to take action. If you're not willing to take action and you're not willing to implement anything that you learn, whether it's tonight or through your Mary Kay training or through anything in life, then who cares, right? I mean, implementation trumps information all the time. So you've got to be willing to implement. You're in the wrong place basically if you're the opposite of all those things, right? If you just want to learn more information, if you're not willing to take action, if you're not willing to invest the time and energy and so forth, you're in the wrong place. Obviously, you can tell I'm going fast because I've got so much information that I want to give to you. So buckle up and try to just catch up or keep up as much as you can. And we'll provide the recording afterwards and so forth. We're going to be going for 60 to 75 minutes or so. I'm going to do a Q&A. Type your questions as you think of them or write them down. I would actually suggest that you write them down because there's so many people on the line right now, and the questions are coming in. I'm not able to follow them. I've got 95 questions in the question bank right now, and I'm just not going to be able to follow those questions. So what I want to do is I just want you to just capture your questions and then answer them in the Q&A, or I might answer them as we go through the webinar. With this amount of people, I just can't really handle it as we go, as I like to sometimes. So type in your questions and don't take notes of information. You're going to have access to the replay. I'm going to show you how to get access to the audio recording. So it's going to be a waste of time if you try to take down the stuff that I have written that you're going to have access to anyway. So don't worry about, scribing all of this information down. Take notes of inspiration. Take notes on the things that you're committed to doing. Take notes on the aha moments that my words trigger inside of you that are not captured on this screen. So don't waste your time and your energy and your ink capturing stuff that you're going to have access to anyway, okay? And I'll let you know how to go much deeper with my help a little bit later. We're going to be covering a lot, right? So get on your super fast turtle shell and let's get rolling. Now stick around to the end because at the end, like I said, I'll share with you how to get an MP3 recording of all of this stuff so you can listen to it again and again. You can download it to your phone or your iPad or whatever. And that's about it for the kind of the housekeeping stuff. So let's get into the content. So what's possible in the Mary Kay world is that you can absolutely make as much money as you want. You can have as much free time as you want. As long as you're willing to do what it takes, and as long as you're willing to follow the recipes that are required. And a lot of people aren't doing that. So here's the sad but true reality. The vast majority of consultants and directors don't have the business that they had hoped for or planned on. And this is absolutely not a Mary Kay problem. Every direct sales business out there, I would say the same thing about. Everything in life, I would say the same thing about. Most people don't have, like, they haven't manifested their goals. They haven't manifested what they had hoped to. So that's just the reality. And Mary Kay is no exception to that. And for a lot of people, there's too much stress, there's too much restriction, there's too many negative issues going on, and people are just putting themselves through a big mess, right? And that's not what Mary Kay Ash had in mind when she founded this company. It's not the way everybody is experiencing this opportunity, so it doesn't have to be that way for anybody, right? Everybody has the same access to the exact same opportunity here. And what's going to determine your results is basically how do you work that opportunity, right? So nothing is a Mary Kay issue. It's a people problem for not taking advantage of certain opportunities or going about it the wrong way or not having the right mindset or what have you. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight is how can we ease a lot of that stress and how can we create a business that's truly magical and what Mary Kay Ash had in mind, in the beginning when she built this whole thing. Now, I've been coaching in the Mary Kay world for about 8 years, and I know what most people want. You just want people to try harder. There's a lot of frustration around people, giving up and just not doing their best. You want people to follow through on their word. You want confidence and clarity personally of what to do and what to say when you go out and warm chatter or when you, pick up the phone and do follow-up calls or whatever. And certainly you want it to be fun and you want it to be simple. People don't like complication in their business. And let's get honest, this is a business and you want to make really good money without all those other challenges. And you want the consistency from one month to the next. People don't like those emotional roller coasters, right? So that's what my experience is that most people really want. And a lot of you that are on the Facebook page, many of you answered the posts that I put up. I think it was just yesterday. I said, if I was going to do a webinar, what would you want me to teach? What are the things that you wish you could be done with in the Mary Kay world? And I was actually kind of surprised by a lot of the content. And the content that I'll be teaching tonight isn't really even like it might even feel kind of random because it's answering the majority or the most common issues that people told me they were having and the questions that they want answered. So this is the content of tonight is basically sort of, crowdsourced where you all told me what the bigger issues are. And so that's what I'm answering tonight. This isn't, my idea of what you need to know. I'm answering the questions that, that you have. So here's my most important message right out of the gate for you is that you can absolutely change the game. It doesn't matter how checkered your past is. Your future is spotless and you can change the game from this point forward. Again, as long as you have the right support and the right systems and all that kind of stuff, because you have to understand what to change. If you don't know what to change, then how can you do it, right? And you have to understand how to change it, obviously. But each and every one of us has the ability to change the game. So here's the content that will be going on. Again, this is based on what you all told me you wanted to learn and some of the frustrations that you're feeling is number one, why traditional goal setting doesn't work for most people. I think about 97% of the people don't respond to the traditional forms of goal setting. And we'll talk about why that is. Number two, how to get leads. That was the most common thing people said is, teach me how to get leads. And there's really only 6 ways to get leads. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. How to have confidence approaching people. That's another big issue for a lot of people. And then finally, the 15 mind shifts. Now, this is, my response to a lot of the things that I was hearing in people's language. The 15 mind shifts that you absolutely must make if you're going to change the game, because you can't change the game with the same mindset that you've had all along, right? So that's what we're going to be doing today. And a little bit about me. I'm here because I know you want more out of your business. I know you want more out of life in general. Otherwise, you wouldn't have shown up. And my purpose is really to share everything I've learned so that you can change your game, because my personal mission in life is to help people remove their internal blocks. That's part of my story. I'll tell you briefly about that in a second, so that they can live lives of passion, purpose, and presence. I mean, I think that's really why we're here. And let me tell you a little bit more about me. I know some of you have been in our community for years and years and years. You've heard these stories, so just bear with me. But a lot of you are brand new to the community. We've got a lot of people jumping on the Facebook page, every single day. So you might not know anything about me. My name is Sean Smith. I don't even think I said that yet. So I'm Sean. That's me in the upper left in the picture. I'm a husband and father first, and I'm a speaker and coach second. I've got this amazing family. My wife there is Sybil. My daughter is McKenna, and my son there in the front is Exley. And my whole journey really started, what is that? 24 years ago? Yeah, about 24 years ago. No, not 24 years ago. 22, 2018. I don't know. I'm not doing the math right now. I used to be a math teacher too, by the way. Whatever it is, it's like 18 years or 16 years ago, 17 years ago. We'll go with 17, 27 years ago. I was almost killed. I was 13 years old. That's what I should have done. I should have just subtracted 13 from my age. Anyway, I was 13 years old and I was riding my bike, and I pulled out in traffic in order to try to avoid getting hit by another car that was about to hit me. And I got struck by a car doing about 50 miles an hour. And, I should have died that day. I went to the hospital and they had to do experimental surgery on my leg, or else they were going to amputate it. And I lost a ton of blood, and it just taught me so much about life. And it taught me that no matter where we are, um, th- you know, no matter what our situation is in life, we're never promised our next breath. And it gave me this mortal sense of perspective. And it was the biggest gift I ever got, because I started to change everything in my life. I started to look at my parents differently, my friends differently. I started to pay attention to the people who had the things that I wanted, and I wanted to do what they're doing. And the people that don't have the things that I don't, or that have the things that I don't want, I wanted to avoid what they were doing. So I started hanging out with different people and so forth. So it completely changed everything. And I basically made a decision and a promise to myself that I was going to do everything I possibly could to live a life of greatness and to never settle for mediocrity, because we only get one shot. So I've been living this one shot perspective for the last 27 years. And even though I had made that promise, though, I really wasn't making good on any of those promises, because I had huge limiting beliefs and huge fears inside. Until 2005, I was at a personal development seminar, and I had a just gigantic shift internally for me with my belief system, with my identity of who I am. Had some huge realizations, made a big decision, and huge ahas. And I decided that I wanted to share this message. And so I just started speaking. I started to talk to anybody that would listen. And the very next year, I did an event for athletes. And at that event for athletes, there were 2 Mary Kay directors who brought their units to listen to my event. I didn't know them. They didn't know me. I don't know how they, decided to go there. But after the event, they said, this stuff applies to us too. So will you come talk to us? And truthfully, my first response was absolutely not. I don't teach women how to sell lipstick. I teach, athletes how to pound their chest and, win on the battlefield. But a couple months later, I decided to do a Mary Kay event and just fell in love. So that's pretty much what I've been doing since. And if somebody would have told me 10 years ago that I would have a website called the Pink Caddie Coach with pink ties and pink websites and all this kind of stuff, they would have been fighting words, really. But I absolutely have fallen in love with Mary Kay, not just because of Mary Kay Ash and what she stood for and the values of the company, but what I'm in love with is the hunger that you guys have. I want to be around people who want more in life. I want to be around people who are not satisfied. That's what that you know that's what floats my boat, right? That's what really gets me going is people that are foaming at the mouth, that are salivating for more. Give me more of the enjoyment of life. Give me more energy. Just give me more happiness, more success. And that's what I've found inside of Mary Kay. So I've absolutely fallen in love with those of you who want more. So that's me. Over the last couple years, just to give you a little bit more of this story, both of my parents have passed away. My mom, Sue, is on the left there, and my dad, Bob, is on the right. And it has caused me over the last few years to really even be more introspective, ask myself, am I trying hard enough? Am I doing my work, right? Am I making them proud? Am I making God proud? Am I making my family proud? Can I look down, look back in my life if it was to end today and say I gave it my best shot? So I've really been in this introspective space, navigating through my parents' deaths over the last few years. And they just taught me so much. My mom taught me unconditional appreciation, and my dad taught me just how to love everybody and how to enjoy life. And the journey with them was so different. I want to tell you briefly the story about my dad. He was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he came to live with us when he went into hospice, into our hotel room, or into our family room. We rented a hospital bed, and he was living in our family room with hospice care coming in. And he lived his last 80 days in our house. And when we knew it was time for him to go, um, he had all these big pain patches on him, and hospice had just basically, knocked him out because that's what he wanted. He just wanted the pain to be gone until he died. I just had a sense that I wasn't complete, and I called the nurse and I said, I need to have one more talk with my dad. I need to tell him what kind of a man he was, and what kind of a friend he was, and how I feel about him. And I'm not done. Like, I'm not ready. He can't go because these words are unspoken. And so they gave me permission to take the pain patches off, and I did. And he came back, and I had this beautiful conversation with him. Probably lasted an hour. I was holding his hand, and I told him everything that I wanted to tell him. And at the end of the conversation, I said, Dad, how can I make you proud when you pass on? And he just answered so quickly, like I had asked a silly question. And he goes, Shawnee, just be who you can be, do what you can do, and live a good life. And those words like pierced my heart, and they've really become my motto. That's a picture of my personalized license plate there at the bottom. Just be who you can be, do what you can do, and just live, live a good life. We get caught up in too much drama and too much of the stuff that really doesn't matter. And so part of my legacy now is to really share my dad's message because it has clarified and crystallized so many things for me. So that is really the core of everything that I'm about. If you're not living who you are and you're just not giving it your all and you're not living a good life, then what's the point? Who cares if you have a bunch of money? Who cares if you got a huge house? Who cares if you have, a bunch of friends and family if you're not fulfilled? If you're not really truly internally deeply fulfilled. And I think these are the core three pieces to that kind of fulfillment. So that's a little bit about me. Um, let's get into what I've learned and some of the content tonight of how can you really change the game and start this year strong, build the momentum that's going to last the entire year. I made a post a few days ago that said something like, your choices in July and August will determine your results in May and June. So I want you to have like looking back perspective. However you want your business to look in June, that's how you need to act right now. I'll share a little story, an epiphany that I had about 2 weeks ago. I was talking to somebody about nutrition, and I was saying, my mom and dad both died when they were 64 years old. And I always think if they had it all to do over again, if they could go back, would they have eaten differently? Would they have not smoked? Would they have made different choices now that they knew that that lifestyle probably manifested into the, into the cancer and emphysema and stuff. And then I started thinking, I don't want to be 64 years old looking back going, man, I wish I would have eaten this way when I was 40. I wish I would have had this kind of exercise routine when I was 40, because that's where I am right now. I just turned 40 a few weeks ago. And so I've really been living my life the last couple weeks with a 64-year-old perspective. Like whatever I imagine wishing that I would have started when I was 40, I want to start right now because I am 40. And it doesn't matter what age you all have a certain point in time where in the future you might look back and say, man, I wish I would have started now at whatever point you are now. So I want you to have that kind of perspective. How would you act now looking backwards from the June mentality, right? So let's have that sort of overarching umbrella kind of, core mentality as we go forward. Now, let's talk about traditional goal setting methods. Here's why I believe that traditional goal setting methods don't work. And part of the reason is because they didn't work for me, right? I talk a lot about the 97 percenters. I am a 97 percenter. So for the longest time, I was out there beating my head up against the wall, doing the things that everybody was teaching me how to do and not getting the results. So this came out of years and years and years of frustration and trying to figure myself out. And then when I made some of the shifts that I made beginning in 2005 with that catalyst that I shared with you, then I got it and I realized that, I don't operate the same way that I was trying to make myself operate according to the way that most people were telling me how to do, how to do goals and just how to achieve whatever level of success I wanted. So I realized that I had to have a different game for me. So that's where all of this is coming from. And one of the reasons that traditional goal setting doesn't work for most of us is that traditional goal setting is generally based on tangible, what I call ego goals. They appeal to your ego, they appeal to your mind, they appeal to your logic, they appeal to your head, but they don't appeal to your heart, which means we don't truly care about any of the tangible goals that we learned we're supposed to want. Most people are searching for goals that at some point in time had no meaning to them until they learned that they were supposed to want that thing. For instance, in Mary Kay, at some point in time, you didn't know what a pink Cadillac was. So a pink Cadillac to most people is an ego goal because it's a learned symbol of success. At one point in time, it would have never driven you. And for a lot of people, it still doesn't drive you because it doesn't speak to your heart. So the tangible goals generally don't speak to your heart, which means we don't care about them. And if we don't really care about them, we're not going to go after them with everything that we have. The other thing that traditional goal setting has is a lot of deadlines, and they use deadlines for urgency reasons, right? This deadline is coming up. You got to go for it. You only have 2 weeks left. But what that does for most people, and I would bet my life that most of you will agree with this, is it induces fear more than it motivates us. These deadlines cause us to think about missing and failing. They don't usually cause us to do whatever we have to do to meet the goal, right? So this is really about how can we set up the systems that are going to motivate us and that are going to induce inspiration rather than fear and retreat. So that's what most traditional goal setting did for me. It caused me to continually push my goals back or pretend I didn't have them, or find everything under the sun, creative avoidance, right, that I could do instead of, my goals or whatever. And that's what a lot of people are experiencing. So I don't want you to obviously induce fear with your goal setting. The other thing is most traditional goal setting is focused on results that we don't control, especially in direct sales. In Mary Kay, you don't control most of the stuff that you get paid for. You don't control most of the stuff that you get recognized for. You don't control most of the stuff that you have your target on. And if you don't control the results, it's very, very difficult to commit to them. A little bit later, I'll get into a piece of content that I have called the 8 components of commitment. I have a whole CD on that. And any of you that are in the Eagles Club, you can find that CD online right now and just listen to it. It's truthfully, it's one of my best pieces of content because it really teaches you how the unconscious mind works and what does it take to commit to your goals. So at the unconscious level, there are 8 things that your goals must have in order to provide the permission to commit. And traditional goal setting approaches violate pretty much all of those 8 components. We'll readdress that in a moment because in another slide, I actually have all these 8 components out. So I'll try to remember to come back and readdress what I just said, because I think traditional goal setting violates most of these components, maybe even all of them. Let's see. And it also promotes emotional attachment to the outcome. What I mean by that is it promotes people getting too desperately attached to getting their goal or not by a certain date. And that emotional attachment is deadly. It is absolutely deadly, especially in an environment where you don't control the results. So this is an emotional knot that most people have with traditional methods, which is, if I get it, I win. If I don't, I lose. Now, when you don't control whether you get it or not, then this is pretty much a lose-lose situation. You either go for it and you don't get the goal and you lose, or you quit, like you don't even try it, because we don't want to. One of our biggest fears that most of us have is actually giving it everything we have and not achieving whatever goal it is that we're trying to achieve, because then that basically solidifies this fear inside of us that says maybe we're not good enough to get our goals, and we don't want that fear ever confirmed. So it's one of the biggest fears that we have, and that's where procrastination is created. It's where perfectionism is created. It's where most of our sabotage is created. It's the fear of losing. And when you have an emotional attachment to the winning or the losing, you're not going to be able to perform at the levels that you could perform if the goals weren't so emotionally damaging and destructive, right? If you didn't get them. And most people have this unhealthy connection between who they are as a person and their performance. And I'm not going to go super deep on this concept because this is a deep concept. I could talk a half hour on it. But most people have this connection that who I am as a person is dictated by how I perform. We get recognized by our performance in society. We get recognized by our performance in direct sales. And we don't get recognized for who we are. We only get recognized for what we do too often. Not all the time, but too often. We only get recognized for what we do. And we've got to clear that connection away. Your self-worth is not determined by your performance, by how much money you have, by how many people you got signed up, any of that sort of stuff. It just doesn't work that way, right? So it will cause more emotional resistance inside of you. So the bottom line is traditional goal setting simply doesn't work for most people. Now, it does work for some people. I'm not saying that this is the right way to do it for everybody, but it's the right way to do it for anybody who this isn't working for, right? Who traditional methods aren't working for, then you've got to change the game. I'm not interested in getting into some right or wrong discussion with people because I don't believe in right or wrong. I think the way that works for you is the right way, and the way that doesn't work for you is the wrong way. And the same way can be right for you and wrong for the person that's sitting right next to you. So I think you owe it to yourself and you owe it to your mission on this planet and your purpose to find out what works for you. And if you're a leader, you owe it to your team members to have that flexibility in your leadership to allow them to figure out what works for them individually, even if it doesn't go with the way you teach, even if it goes against the strategies that you succeeded with. A true leader has the flexibility and the awareness to understand that some of their team members will need to be taught in a different way that they were taught. So if you're a leader, you have to have the flexibility that some of your people might need a new approach other than the way that you learned it, other than the way that you succeeded, and other than the way that you're even familiar with or comfortable teaching. If you really want to be a true leader that can help the most amount of people possible, you've got to have that level of flexibility because we are all individual animals, right? We have so many different stories. Nobody works the same way. So there is no one blanket approach that's going to work for everybody, okay? So that's what traditional goal setting does for most people. It actually triggers failure and it triggers fear. So what we want to do is we want to trigger excitement. We want to trigger inspiration. We want to trigger something that'll get you moving in action. And that means you got to make some shifts and some changes. All right. The next thing that I told you, this is like a little random. These are not, moving into each other necessarily. It's because these are the most common questions that you all ask. The next piece I want to talk about is the 6 ways to get leads in your business. And truthfully, I'm going to breeze through this because you pretty much already know this unless you've just been in the business for a few days. And this, as much as this is the common question that a lot of people have, it's an easy response. And this is actually not the bigger issue. So I'm not saying that, all of you know this stuff, but as soon as you know it, you know it. And this is going to be very fast to learn it, right? So there's really only 6 ways to get leads in your business. And obviously getting leads and prospects is crucial, in your business so that you can continue to get people in front of you, in front of the opportunity and so forth. The first way is your warm market. And that's the way most people start out. They go to their friends and family and they ask them if they could do them a favor. They ask them if they could, host a party or whatever. And some people love going to their warm market. Some people are terrified going to their warm market, but that's one way to do it. The people that you already know. Another way is to get referrals. And that's obviously where, people tell you to contact other people or they give you names and numbers and what have you. But a mistake that most people make is when they ask for referrals, they ask too vaguely. Like if you ask somebody, hey, if you know anybody who would be interested in Mary Kay, have them give me a call. That is, and I don't want to sound harsh here, but that is not a good approach for several reasons. Number one, you're just asking for them to pass on a phone number, and then you're asking for that person to call you, and that will almost never happen. I'm sure there are people who've had that happen, but very, very rarely will all of those things fall into place. But number two, you're not giving the person any clarity for who it is that they're going to send your way. And I'll give you an example. A friend of mine one time said, um, he was in the timeshare business, and he said, do you know anybody who might be interested in the timeshare business? If you do, send them my way. And I said, okay. And I didn't know anybody. I've never had a conversation with people like, hey, have you ever thought about being in the timeshare business? And most people that are not in Mary Kay have never had the conversation with everybody that they know, whether they'd be interested in a Mary Kay business or not. So if you ask them to search for people who they know might be interested in Mary Kay, they've never had that conversation. So nobody's going to come up in their mind. But a few months later, this same guy came to me and he said, we're looking for team members. And do you know anybody who's like, roughly middle age, between 20 and 50, and they're great at sales. They're great communicators. They have awesome people skills. They have um, some experience in sales in the past, and they would be willing to travel over the country and really help people with their timeshares. And immediately in my head, I go, that's Phil. My buddy Phil just fit that whole profile. But it's because he gave me a clear profile. 3 months ago, he didn't give me a profile to fit Phil into. So with your referrals, tell people exactly who you're looking for. Say, if you know anybody who's been complaining about not having enough money, if you know anybody who's been wanting to get out of their job, if you know anybody who's really foaming at the mouth for an opportunity, if you know anybody who's really entrepreneurial, if you know anybody right now who's in business that might be open to another opportunity, if you know anybody who's been complaining about the bags under their eyes or needing to find skincare that works or they don't like the way they feel, if you know anybody specifically like that, let me know or send them my way or whatever. But I want you to be really clear with your referrals. Otherwise, you're not going to give anybody anything to work with. All right. The third one is warm chatting. I'm sure all of you are familiar with what that is, and everybody has their own approach to that, and everybody has their own fears around that or not. I'm not going to spend time on this. I actually have an entire audio program on this. It's 4 audios. It's about 4 hours total in training. It's available for free on that website right there, warmchattingsuccess.com. It's also available at the Pink Caddie Coach blog and on the Facebook page. You can find tabs for it pretty much everywhere you go on any of our pages. But if you want more deep dive training into warm chatting, go there, grab the audios. I'm not going to try to, tell you about some of the highlights. Just go there and listen to it. It's a lot of people say it totally changed the way they warm chat and they don't have any fears anymore and it changes their perspective and so forth. Hang on a sec. Whoops, I went backwards on accident. Let's see here. Okay, warm market, referrals, warm chatting. I've got a little line here because all of these are free. And then the next three involve a little bit of an investment. Facial boxes, not much of an investment, a few bucks here and there for the boxes. But a facial box is where you take a box and you have some kind of free offer generally, if you want a free pampering session or whatever, put your name and number in here. I've had plenty of people that have had huge success with facial boxes. Most people say they don't work because they've tried one facial box in one restaurant and it didn't work, and then they've written it off everywhere. But if you're serious about this strategy, you got to test and tweak every single variable. Put them in different stores, change the color on the box, change the offer on the box, ask for different pieces of information. I mean, if you're serious about it, it can be a good strategy if you're serious about it, and if you're willing to test and tweak. If you just want to throw some facial boxes out there, it probably won't work for you if you expect them to just, create a rush of leads. But what if you had 20 facial boxes out there that are getting a couple names, a week? That's not stellar individually, but all combined, now you've got 40 leads coming in, and that's pretty darn good. These are people that have raised their hand and said, please contact me. So that's facial boxes. The fifth one is if you rent a booth or you pay for a table at like an expo or some kind of convention or something like that. If you do that, you got to have a great lead magnet, very similar to the facial box concept, but it's a little bit different strategy. You got to get people's names and numbers. Otherwise, there's no point in doing the booth. So you want to give something away. You want to have something in your booth that's catchy. You want to be friendly. You want to have high energy. So there's definitely some tactics and strategies that are going to help with booths and tables. And then finally, the sixth one is you can buy leads. I know a lot of people in Mary Kay are buying bridal leads. A lot of people have bought some kind of like welcome to the neighborhood sort of leads. There's probably more opportunities out there in buying leads. Those are the two that I've been familiar with in the Mary Kay world. And here's what I know: leads don't work if you don't call them. That's what I'm positive about. A lot of people are buying leads and not calling them. And what's the point? And then, people will have leads for 6 months or 8 months, and then they won't call them because they think the lead's old and dead. Seriously, they don't know when you got their lead. Just call them already, right? But leads can be very profitable. Well, I don't know about very profitable. I guess that's relative, but leads can absolutely be profitable. I tell some of my clients that are buying leads, they should keep buying leads because even if they're not making a huge amount of money, it keeps them going in Mary Kay and it just building their customer base. And every now and then they'll get a recruit, right? Here's the thing. The more you do with each one of these things, the more people you're going to get out there and serve, the more people you're going to get exposed to. And if you don't have expectations that say, okay, I'm going to do facial boxes and I better start getting a landslide of leads, or I'm gonna go, do David's bridal and I better make $1,000 on all these leads. If you don't have those expectations, then you're going to free yourself up from some of that emotional gunk, and you'll operate better. And then when you operate better emotionally and energetically, you're going to do better, right? So the more that you do, the more the bigger the web that you're going to ultimately cast. And if you just release your expectations around these things, it'll be so much better. So those are really the only 6 ways that I know of to get leads. There are other detailed ways, but they pretty much fall under one of these 6 categories. If any of you know of another one, then please let me know or email me or whatever. We can talk about it at the Q&A. Third piece of content here is, and it's similar to that leads discussion. A lot of people are really struggling with just approaching people, right? Like, how do you have the confidence and the comfort to go up and talk to people about your Mary Kay business and so forth? Now, this is going to be the shortest training that I've ever done on building confidence and comfort. Again, it's just a little bit beyond the scope of this webinar, but here's a couple real quick shifts that you can make. Focus on them, do not focus on you. All of your fears around rejection and approval and all the stuff that gets in the way of Mary Kay is a function of you focusing on yourself. It's you getting rejected, you hearing a no, or you getting laughed at, or you not getting approved of, or you not getting support. It's all you. That's really the only way that fears can be created in this type of environment, is when you are focusing on yourself. So I guarantee you, the next time you find yourself sabotaging, talking to people or making phone calls, I guarantee you in that moment you're focused on yourself and you're not focused on them. But as soon as you shift that thinking and realize you have an opportunity here that's a life-changing opportunity, how dare you keep it on them. I mean, to yourself. How dare you keep it to yourself? You have an obligation under your creator, right? You have an obligation under God, in my experience and or my opinion, rather. You have an obligation to share what you know. Otherwise, you are choosing not to help people. And if you walk around choosing not to help people, I know that that will not sit well with you. It will not sit well inside your gut. But that's really what you're doing. You're choosing not to help people if you don't talk to them because you're afraid of what they're going to say. But as soon as you focus on them, what are their needs? What's the possibility that this woman, who might look like she has it all together, is just hanging on by a thread, and inside she's dying? Because I know many of you that are hearing my words right now were in that situation. On the outside, everybody would have thought you had everything together, but nobody knew that inside you were dying inside. You were crying yourself to sleep at night. Maybe you had challenges in your marriage or challenge in your relationship with your children, or whatever the case is, but you had it all buttoned up on the outside, because most of us don't like to wear all that stuff on our sleeve. So there's a possibility that some people that might look like they're super beyond needing this opportunity are the very people that need it the most. But you've got to really focus on the possibilities for them. And instead of imagining what's going to go wrong when you talk to them, which is, again, where all fear is coming from, instead of imagining what's going to go wrong, you've got to consider what might go right. Consider the possibility that this person might absolutely need what you have. And as long as there's a possibility, it doesn't have to be guaranteed. As long as there's a possibility, then it'll be much easier for you to go for it, for you to take a chance, right? And related to this is, don't show up trying to impress people. Show up wanting to connect with people. If you show up wanting to connect with people and you want to serve them and you consider what's going to go right, it's going to be so much easier for you to approach them. And that confidence is something you already have deep down inside. Confidence is poisoned when you're thinking about all this other stuff that I'm talking about here. But when you just show up as yourself and you don't try to be like anybody else, it's so much easier to connect with people. And when you connect with people, the conversations are going to be smoother. It's going to be a lot less of that kind of negative, weird energy and awkwardness. And it really, truly is simple. It's not always easy, because a lot of people have habits around scaring themselves, but it is simple. If you just embody these 4 bullets right here, I guarantee you virtually all of your fears around talking to people will go away. I think every single one of them will go away if you embody these. But you got to embody them. I'm not asking you to understand them. I'm asking you to become them. Right? There's a difference between understanding that you're supposed to serve people and showing up as a beacon of service, right? As a messenger of service in your body, in your energy, in your language, in your heart, everywhere. So this is not about just trying to I just lost my train of thought there, because I had a hashtag thought. I'll get to that in a second. So this is not about trying to impress them. This is or not trying to. This is not about trying to understand this stuff. This is about being this stuff. So the thought that I had is because I saw a little notification go off on my phone. Feel free to, if you're online right now, I mean, feel free to share anything, any ahas that you're getting. Post on Facebook or whatever. Feel free to share any of that stuff. I'd love to create a little bit of a buzz around this content, because a lot of people need to hear this stuff. Anyway, sorry for my little rabbit trail there. Now, here's the last piece of content for tonight. It's going to take the majority of the time that we have left, because I got 15 mind shifts that you've got to make, and you have to understand these mind shifts at a core level. I'm going to go through each one of them relatively quick. I mean, each one could probably be a webinar on itself, but this is what I have learned personally, experiencing development and working on myself, but also coaching specifically in the Mary Kay world. This is the stuff that makes the true shifts to people, or in people. I just mentioned this one. You've got to commit to service, not sales, not recruiting. The more that you think about how many products can I sell, how many customers can I get, how many team members can I get, listen to the language. It's all about me, me, me. It's how can I get, how can I get, how can I get? And the more you do that, the more your limiting beliefs are going to show up, the more your fears are going to show up, the more your doubts are going to show up. And you've got to become the essence of giving. You've got to be that person that will give, to an extent. That doesn't mean you give all your services away. You don't give all your products away. That's not what I'm saying. But you've got to give energetically. You've got to show up to support people energetically. And again, you can't just understand this. You have to become this. This is about offering, not taking. So whenever you're in that place of what do I get and how can I take, you're going to create a lot of the sabotage and a lot of the challenges, right? Second one, I want you to commit to your drivers, not your goals. Your drivers are the things that answer the question why you want something. Your goals are the things that answer the question what you want. Now, most people are focused on what they want. They want the unit club. They want the Cadillac. They want the Mustang. They want, $100,000 in their bank. They want to be a director. They want to be a national. Those are all whats. Those are goals. Those are not drivers. Now, each one of those goals might drive you, but most people don't look at them that way. They haven't tapped into the why underneath the what. So why is it that you want to be in a pink Cadillac? Why is it that you want to be a national sales director? And I'll tell you, I bet each and every one of you could answer that question intellectually as soon as I ask it, but that's not good enough. Your intellect will not get you out of bed. Your intellect will not pick you up when you've fallen down. Your intellect does not have the power to outweigh your doubts and fears. Those are emotional issues. You've got to find the drivers that do have the power to outweigh your doubts and fears. And that comes from going deeper into, why do I really want to be a national sales director? Why do I really want to be a director? Why do I really want to go on the trip? Why do I really want this thing that I want? And it might be difficult to answer that, which is good because it means you're asking yourself a question you've never asked before. And if you dig down, you'll probably get emotional, either happy emotion or tears. But I think the tears are happy emotion too. But you might cry or you might just get really excited. But you'll tap into some emotion that has the ability to drive you. And that's what we've really got to look at. So for instance, let's say that you have a goal to make a certain amount of money this year. For most people, money actually has a lot of negativity on it because for them, money is a problem. So if money is a problem in your life and your goals are around money, that means your goals are attached to one of the biggest problems in your life. You're attaching problem energy to your goals because you're focused on money, and money equals problem in your life right now. So what that's doing is that's amplifying the problem. And every time you look at this goal that has money attached to it, you're actually plugging in at a deeper level. You might think intellectually that you're fired up about the goal. At a deeper level, you're plugging into problems. You're plugging into conflict. You're plugging into things that are going to demotivate you. So you don't want to attach problems to the very things that you want to go after. And for a lot of people, money is about lack also. So now if you want to create abundance in your life, you can't focus on money if to you money equals lack. And that means that you're just going to be feeling a lot of those feelings of lack, and you're going to have lack thoughts and scarcity mentality, right? But when you focus on helping others, for instance, going back to this whole service piece, when you focus on helping others, there's an abundance of people to help. So now what you're focusing on has abundance already in it. You're attaching, it's like plugging into an outlet on the wall. Do you want to plug into the scarcity outlet or do you want to plug into the abundance outlet? Focusing on money will plug you into the scarcity outlet. Focusing on helping as many people as possible will plug you into the abundance outlet. So you want to become, your drivers as much as you possibly can. I mean, this is a huge, huge shift for most people. The third one here is, anybody that's been in my community for, if you've heard me train on anything, this is one of the things that I shout from the mountaintops as loud as I possibly can, because 97%ers must commit to activities and not results. In traditional goal setting, we're taught that we're supposed to commit to an outcome. We're supposed to commit to $100,000. We're supposed to commit to becoming a director. We're supposed to commit to some kind of outcome. We're supposed to commit to it by a certain date. But the bottom line is that outcome is a result that we don't even control. However, when you switch this to activities that you control, now you can put a step-by-step game plan together that has clarity on it, and you know exactly what to do. And a good way to ask yourself, if you've gotten there, is your game plan, the thing that you're doing on a daily basis, is it substitute ready? What I mean by that, I was actually talking to one of my clients about this morning. Is it substitute ready? Meaning, could somebody take your game plan that doesn't have any idea what to do, anything, any previous knowledge about Mary Kay? She doesn't know what you're doing, or he doesn't know what you're doing. And could that person follow your game plan to a T because it's that clear? Could they look at your game plan today that says, oh, at 9 o'clock, I'm answering emails. Okay, I can go in there and I can answer emails. At 9:30, I'm picking up the phone and I'm calling David's bridal leads. Okay, and then I stop at 10. Great. And for everybody that books, I put them in this, this calendar. And so obviously you don't have to give yourself instructions every day, but you've got to be substitute ready with the clarity on your activities. If they're not substitute ready, then most of us as 97 percenters, we're just going to waddle around in a cloud of vagueness and a cloud of uncertainty every day, thinking that we're working our business. In reality, all we're doing is shuffling papers around, burning circles into the floor of our office because we're just roaming around. It feels like we're doing something, but we're not doing anything productive because we don't have the clarity. So you've got to have clarity over your activities, and you can't have that with your results. You can't just get up out of bed and say, today I'm going to recruit 3 people. Yeah, that'd be freaking awesome if you do that, but you can't just roll out of bed and go, okay, recruit, recruit, recruit. There are many steps that you have to go through in order to get to that point. So it's those steps that the 97 percenters absolutely have to put their focus on, right? When you focus on fears, this is gigantic, and I've never had this realization until today. When you focus on results, you are going to create fears of not achieving those results, because the main question you have is, can I do this? So if you're looking at Pink Cadillac, if you're looking at Director, if you're looking at DIQ, National, whatever that goal is, you're asking yourself, can I do this? And the answer is always going to be, I don't know, if you're trying to do something you've never done before. If you're trying to do something you've done before, the version of that question is going to be not just can I do it, but can I do it and keep it now? And either one of those questions are going to yield negative answers. They're not going to yield answers that you're going to like, because there's uncertainty there. So you're going to have fears. You're going to have doubts if you focus on achievements, if you focus on outcomes, because you've never done those before. How can you possibly know and have the certainty and confidence that you're going to be able to do something you've never done before? It's literally impossible. It's impossible as a human being for your mind at an unconscious level to know that you can do something you've never done before. You will always inherently have a little bit of doubt. Now, some people don't have much doubt, but it's impossible to have 100% rock solid certainty that you can do something you've never done before. It's the way the human brain works. The brain always has reservations about going into the street, right? About going beyond the current familiar zone and the current comfort zone. It's one of the functions of the brain that keeps us safe. So it's an inherent part of this journey that you're going to have doubts and fears. So when you focus on achievements that you don't know if you can get, that's just going to plug all of your doubts and fears in. It's going to plug you into all of these doubts and fears. I just saw a comment. Somebody goes, "Wow, yeah, that's how I feel." I had this realization today. I went, "Oh my God, holy cow!" That's it. That's why so many of us create the doubts and fears, because underlying, when we take a look at it at an outcome, we go, can I do this? And the answer inherently is going to be no for almost all of us. So what we want to do, though, is we want to look at our activities, because if your activities are pick up the phone and make 20 phone calls, you're going to ask yourself this question, can I do this? And what's the answer going to be? Yes. Of course you can pick up the phone and make 20 phone calls. Can you talk to 5 people today and offer your business card? Yes, you can do that. Will they give you their name and number back? I don't know. That's a fear-inducing thought, because you truly don't know. But can you open your mouth and make sounds at somebody and offer them your business card? Yes, there's certainty around that. So when you focus on activities, you're going to be able to answer the question, can I do it, with a yes. And that level of certainty and that level of confidence is going to get you in motion. It's going to allow you to get up and do the work. But when you have fear and you have doubts around the thing that you're focusing on all the time, all it's going to do is demotivate almost all of us. Okay, so this is gigantic, you guys. Holy cow. I had this realization, almost knocked me over today when I was just typing this up. Oh my goodness. Now, here's what I've learned as kind of the secret sauce. Now, I'm not really big in there being any secrets to success, but as close to a secret sauce as possible is accountability. If you're serious about achieving your goals, then you must be serious about doing the activities. And if you're serious about doing the activities, then put something up against it. I had a goal. I had 18 things last week that I wanted to get done, and and they were on my to-do list for months, most of them. And finally, I said, I am tired of this. I am getting rid of all of these things by completing them. And so what I did is I posted on Facebook and I said, I have 18 things that I'm committing to this week, and some of them are big, big projects. And I said, if I don't get all of these 18 things done by midnight on Sunday, I will pay $200. I'll write a $200 check to anybody who comments on this post. And I had like 10 or 15 people. It was in a small group. I had like 10 or 15 people comment, and all of a sudden, I've literally got $2,000 to $3,000 on the line of getting these things done, and I knocked every single one of them out. There was no way I wasn't going to do them because I didn't want to suffer the consequence. So if you're really serious about doing the work, have yourself a list of activities. Now, all of these 18 things were activity driven. I controlled all of them. Don't put up accountability on something you can't control. Don't say, if I don't recruit 3 people this month, I'm going to give you $100. For most of you, that won't work. That will shut you down more than inspire you. For some of you, it might inspire you, and you have my permission to not implement anything that I'm teaching you, but you need to understand this stuff because 97% of all your team members need this kind of work, right? So that's accountability that changes the game, I promise you. If you're serious about your results, then get serious and put some money up with some accountability, and you just watch. Everything is different when you do that. I would love to hear how that works for you, just the accountability piece. All right, number 4, commit to changing yourself, not changing them. What I heard with a lot of people when I asked, what are some of your biggest frustrations, is people going, people are lying to me and they don't show up for the meetings, and they say they're going to do something and they don't do it. And people don't have integrity and they don't have common courtesy to pick up the phone and tell me that they're not going to show up at my meeting. There's so much like desperate energy around people being bad. If we could just change these other people. Now, nobody used the word blame, but that's what you were doing. You were blaming other people for your problems. You were saying, if we could just change people, then my business would be okay. No, no, no. If your business needs to be changed, then you need to do the changing. Commit to changing yourself. Don't try to go out and change other people, because here's the reality. You are going to attract people according to who you are, not who you pretend to be, who you are. So you need to become the person you want to attract. If you're attracting people who are always focused on scarcity and lack programming, I guarantee you on some level you are too. Otherwise, you wouldn't tolerate it. Now, that doesn't mean that as soon as you make some of these shifts, everybody around you is going to change and all of a sudden everybody's focused on abundance. Of course, there's going to be a lot of people focused on lack and scarcity, but you're going to be attracting people according to your magnet, not according to who they really are. So you've got to change the magnet. You've got to become the person that you're wanting to attract, because most people are out there trying to recruit, trying to sell with desperation, and desperation absolutely kills abundance, and desperate energy repels the very people that you're trying to attract. So become that person through and through. Become the essence of abundance. Become the essence of excellence. Whatever it is that you want in your business, become that thing. And that's the magnet that will attract more of it to you. Number 5, commit to your integrity, not to your approval. Many of you that are on the Pink Caddie fan page, you know that one of the big things that I made a big positive stink about at the end of the Mary Kay year was I highlighted one of my clients and friends who chose, she had 23 qualified recruits in her team, and she only needed one more for the court. And she chose not to desperately find somebody. She chose not to put somebody in on her credit card. She chose not to just talk somebody in so that she can make that court. And I got goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps right now even thinking about it. I honor that so much because she chose integrity over approval and recognition and over her ego. And you will be rewarded at least 10 times over if you choose your integrity and you operate out of integrity in your business and everywhere in life. Your results will follow if you commit to your integrity. And your integrity is everywhere. It's in your habits, it's in your dreams, it's in your identity, it's in your words. Commit to your word. A lot of the people, and this goes for me too, as soon as we start saying, hey, people aren't holding up to their end of the bargain, they're saying they're going to do something and then they don't do it. I bet 99% of the time when you're saying that about somebody else, if you hold the mirror up to your face, you'll realize that you're lying too. There's an area in your life that you're not holding up your end of the bargain either. That's why they're doing that thing is irritating you so much. Is because you've got an integrity issue inside of you. And if you didn't have that integrity issue, it wouldn't matter so much that somebody else is out of integrity unless you were out of integrity. So that's the big girl question and the big boy question to ask yourself. Whenever somebody else is irritating you, ask yourself, how am I doing this to me somewhere in my life? And I guarantee you, 99% of the time, occasionally this is not true, but 99% of the time, you're going to find that you are offending your integrity in that area somewhere in your life, and that's why they're irritating you. So commit to your integrity, commit to your authenticity everywhere you possibly can. Next one, commit to excellence, not perfection. So many people want to be perfect. They don't want to go out and talk to people unless they have the perfect thing to say, unless they have the perfect answer to all their perfect questions, unless they have the perfect, business cards. Just go. Just get in motion. You can be excellent with everything that you do. Excellence is doable with everything. You can be excellent in warm chatting and still not get a lead. You can be excellent making a phone call and still not have somebody pick up or still not have somebody book with you. You can be excellent with your habits around exercise and nutrition. You can be excellent in everything you do, but you can't be perfect. So just let that go. Replace the word perfect with excellence. I want you, instead of being riddled and being restricted by perfectionism, I want you to be inspired by excellencism. Why don't we make that a word, right? Any of you that are on social media right now, hashtag that. Say, I am committed to excellencism. And I don't even know how to spell it. Spell it however you want. But I'm committed to excellencism. Let's replace the whole word of, I'm not even going to say it anymore, that P word. Replace it with excellence because now it's doable. And just like I was saying earlier, the question that's going to come up is, can I do it? Can you be perfect? Absolutely not. That triggers doubts. It triggers fear. Can you be excellent? Absolutely. That's going to trigger more certainty and more confidence. Now, here's the key, though. You cannot expect others to share this commitment. I mean, you can, but it'll ruin you. And that was a lot of the energy of the post that I heard today, too, or yesterday. People were going, people don't have integrity. They don't have the common courtesy of calling me back. Listen, that's your value. You have a value on calling people and telling them that you're not going to show up to an event. Don't expect other people to have that value. And I'm not interested in having some philosophical debate on whether people should do that or not. I don't care about the shoulds in life. What I care about is the bottom line is that's a fact of human nature. A fact of human nature is there will be people who will not call you and they will leave you hanging out to dry. And you can either choose to make that derail you or you can choose to not let that derail you. And the way you do that is you don't expect other people to have your same definition of excellence or your same definition of respect or courtesy or any of that kind of stuff that gets you plugged in. Don't expect other people to have that same commitment or the same definition, and you'll be fine. So commit to your own thing and you'll be good. Man, I'm trying to go as fast as I can, you guys. And any of you that know me, I want to teach for 5 hours on this stuff. But I want to try to honor the commitment that we had as much as possible with time. All right, we're almost halfway through. Number 7, you got to commit to believable goals, not doable goals. This goes back to what I've been saying about perfectionism versus excellence and about results versus activities. You've got to believe that you can achieve your goal. I really, truly don't care if somebody else has achieved a certain goal or not, and that's the same goal you have, because that's them. It doesn't matter if they achieved it. So is it humanly possible? Sure. But what goal have you ever failed at that wasn't humanly possible? Every single goal you've ever had in Mary Kay has been humanly possible. So that is not a deciding factor. What matters is, do you believe it? Right? So I don't care if somebody spent 15 months or 3 years or 30 days to get to a certain level in the company. I mean, I'm not, dismissing the coolness of their story. I'm not talking negative about them, but as it pertains to you, it doesn't matter what they did. What matters is, what do you believe in enough that'll cause you to take action? So don't ask yourself, can I get to national sales director in the next 2 years? Ask yourself, do I really truly believe that I can? And if the answer is no, then if that's reality to you, listen, there's nothing wrong with you noticing that you don't believe a goal. A lot of people are scared to admit that they don't believe that they can achieve a goal, because we're taught all the time that we're supposed to just believe it. You got to believe in yourself. You have to have the mentality that I can do this. I can become a national. I can become a director. I can do this thing. Well, listen, that's all fine and good unless it's wrong. If it's wrong, then you trying to beat yourself up with this I should believe in myself mentality is going to do nothing but drive you deeper into the mud. So if you don't believe in your goal, back it up. Do something that you can wrap your head around and believe in so that you can get in motion. I would rather you achieve a lower goal that you believe in than not achieve a bigger goal that you don't believe in and then stay stuck on it year after year after year after year after year after year after year. This is not an ego. Don't let your ego get in the way. If you don't believe in a goal, change the recipe to find something you do believe in. And a lot of times that change can be very, very different. I had a client one time, she was at a seminar of mine, and she said, I've always really struggled with hitting this number. I think the number was 250. I think she was trying to get, I think it was 150, trying to get to 150 people on her team. And I said, well, why don't you just go for 149 or 151, one of those. It was amazing how when she thought about 149, she's like, I can do that, because she's never failed at 149 before. So there's none of those failure triggers. So you don't necessarily have to reduce your goal to elementary levels. You just have to change it to something that you believe in so that you will take action. So I don't care if goals are doable. I care if you believe in them enough that you're going to take action on them. Now, here are those the 8 components of commitment. Again, I've got an hour and 20 minutes in this content. I'm just going to breeze through them right now. But for you to commit to your goals at an unconscious level, your goals have to have crystal clarity on them. They got to be crystal clear. You've got to be congruent with your purpose, with your values, with your beliefs, with your integrity, with your, everything. Your goals have to match all of that internal stuff. If there's a mismatch, you'll never commit to a goal. You've got to have total control over all of those goals. And inherently in direct sale, most of the goals that everybody commits to are inherently out of your control. So you're setting yourself up to lose from the beginning. The fourth one is charge, which means you've got to have emotional charge around this goal. It's got to excite you on some level, and positively, right? A lot of people have charge on the goals, but it's a negative charge. There's fear and lack and all this stuff. The fifth one, challenge. There's got to be some level of growth here. Nobody's going to get excited about a goal that's going to keep them right in the middle of their comfort zone and familiarity zone. There's got to be some opportunity for growth here. Certainty is huge. This goes, hand in hand with what I've been talking about. You've got to believe these goals. There's got to be certainty in what you can achieve, what you're going to achieve, that you have time in your schedule to do this, that you have the ability to do this. Certainty may be the most important recruiting piece that you have. If you don't have certainty in your language, in your body, in your energy, in your emotion, it's going to show. The next one is choice. This goal has to be your choice. You cannot be going after somebody else's goal that they've given to you and have any level of unconscious commitment to it. And you've also got to be able to choose the path, right? So there's got to be choice from a couple different angles here. You've got to be able to choose the path and have chosen the goal. And then the final one here is completion. If you don't have completion on a goal, like short-term completion, then it's going to be difficult. If you have a goal of becoming national sales director in 2 years, and that's your only goal, you don't have daily goals, you don't have weekly goals, there's no way for you to tell yourself you're doing a good job until 2 years from now, when it's either do or die. And nobody at an unconscious level wants to commit to 2 years of challenges, to 2 years of activities, so that we know whether we're doing a good job or not. You should have every single day a way to feel good about what you did that day. And the only way you're going to do that is focus on activities and not focus on results, because there's too much of, cycles in Mary Kay. Next one, commit to responsibility, not blame. And as I was writing this, I was thinking, blame is so lame, right? So don't be lame with blame. Take responsibility. Every time that you're saying, if somebody else were different, I could be whatever, you're blaming other people. Every time you're saying, people around here where I live don't have extra money, you're blaming your environment. Every time you're blaming the economy, the president, the Congress, whatever, you're not empowering yourself. You're actually victimizing yourself. Blame equals victimization. Don't be a victim. Take responsibility of everything. I say take ownership of everything in your business so that you can change it. So if you're having a bunch of people like not follow through on their bookings, let's say, if you've got a string of 10 people that haven't followed through in their bookings, I want you to ask a question. How am I attracting this? How am I attracting this? Because if you say, oh, people don't have common courtesy and I can't find people who have this, you can't do anything about that. There's no power there. But if you say, how am I attracting this? What can I do differently? You have power there, right? So everything that's in your business, take ownership, 100% ownership of it so that you can do something about it. And I don't really care. There are certain things that truthfully aren't your responsibility, but I suggest you take ownership anyway so that you can change it. The other piece about responsibility is you've got to have the ability, or you've got to have the awareness and really adopt and own the idea, the fact that you have the ability to respond to anything. That's why I broke it up with response ability. You have the ability to respond to anything that happens to you. And one of the best ways to do that is if you pre-accept people's responses. One of the things that people are afraid of in warm chatting, let's say, is what if they say no? Well, who cares if they say no? The reason that people are afraid of a no is because they are pretending that no is the wrong answer. That's the only thing that we're afraid of. We're afraid of things going wrong. We are never afraid of anything going right. So what if you had this mind shift? What if you just pre-decided that whatever sound comes out of that person's mouth is the right answer? There's no possibility that that person is going to give me the wrong answer. If you truly adopted that, it would literally be impossible emotionally or intellectually to have fear around talking to people. If it was impossible for anything to go wrong, fear cannot be created. So what if you just pre-accepted the idea that no matter what they say, it's right? And there's no such thing as a wrong answer. And in fact, when people say no, that's the best answer sometimes, because they would have they would have probably created all kinds of stress and frustration in your business and life anyway. There's nothing wrong with you just deciding that that person just saved, 40 gray hairs and hours of frustration by saying no, because they wouldn't have been interested anyway. So if they're not going to be interested anyway, I'd rather have them out early in the process than later in the process. So just decide that, yeah, that was the right answer. Holy cow, I'm sure glad they said no. Wow, that avoided a bunch of stuff, right? Just play. It's a mind game. That's what all this is, just a mind game. But play the mind game in a way that you're going to win. Right? It's all a mind game anyway. You playing the what if she says no or what if he says no. It's all a mind game anyway. You might as well play a game that you can win. Number 9, commit to enjoying the journey, not reaching a destination. I've already alluded to some of this stuff. It's not about achieving tangible success. It's about being fulfilled internally. It's about fulfilling your values as a person. It's about enriching the relationships that you have in your life. If you create a successful business and your relationships suffer as a result, I think that's a loss. I think you lose. So you've got to create fulfillment and commit to enjoying the process all along the way. And any of you that have played the destination game in the past, I'm sure you'll agree with me that once you get there, it's not even as good as you thought it was going to be anyway. And if you don't get there, it's like this big disaster. But when you focus on enjoying every step of the day, because we don't know if we're even going to have the gift called tomorrow. So what if we just decided that no matter where you are production wise, no matter who's not coming to your meetings, no matter how many people are not answering the phone or calling you back, what if you just decided that you're not going to give the enjoyment and the gratitude of today to that person's inactivity? What if you just decided that you were not going to sacrifice today's fulfillment because somebody else is making certain sounds with their mouth or somebody else is not doing something with their body? What if you held every day so sacredly that it's impossible for anybody to attack that, for anybody to control that? And I totally believe that today is so sacred that we should guard it with everything that we possibly can, because we don't know if we have another tomorrow. So if you're not enjoying every step of the way, what are you doing? If you're not enjoying this business, either learn to enjoy it or quit. If you're not enjoying life, figure out a way to enjoy it. Every single one of us can plug into the things that we love about life, but it's easy to get hardened as, as we go through life and we have all these responsibilities and we focus on things that aren't happening, right? It's easy to get kind of negative, but you've got to stay positive and in a state of gratitude. So commit to enjoying the journey. Number 10, commit to consistently, not constantly. And what I mean by that, this is one of my favorite analogies, is I want you to keep your airplane in the air. From this point forward for the rest of this year, keep your plane in the air. Now, what that means is don't ever take a bunch of time off. Don't ever, take a week without doing something. That goes for everything, not just Mary Kay. Don't ever go 2 weeks without going to the gym or without exercising. Keep your plane in the air. At least do something. I would rather you, do 5 sit-ups than nothing, because at least your plane is still in the air and you haven't landed. Most of the energy and danger in airplanes is takeoff and landing. And I would say the same thing with building habits. Most of the danger and challenge with building habits is takeoff and then when the habits land. So keep the habits up, even if it's just a small amount every day. Keep going. I'd rather you make 1 phone call a day than have a goal of 20 phone calls, realize you're not going to get to it, and then have this all or nothing approach, not do any of the calls. That's not going to help. Your plane's going to land. So keep your plane in the air, and momentum is exponential in both directions. This is a momentum business. If you land your airplane, your momentum will start to revert backwards, and you're going to have to try harder just to get back to where you were. But if you keep the airplane up in the air and you stay consistent, then you can build momentum exponentially going forward. And what I mean by not constantly, you don't have to like warm chatter 5 times, 5 women every single day. You can consistently warm chatter 3 times a week, and that's still keeping your plane in the air because it's consistently. So consistent doesn't necessarily mean every single day with each activity, but it means consistently, spread out. You're not going to let your plane land. So hopefully that point landed. I saw a post today with one of our coaches actually called the law of diminishing intent. And basically what that says is the longer it takes for you to do something, the less likely you are to do it. So if you have an idea, if you want to get going, towards your goals, do something now. My challenge for each and every one of you is to do something tonight. Don't get off this webinar and go, you know what? I am going to do something tomorrow. No, tomorrow is always our most courageous day. Tomorrow is always our most effective day. Do something tonight. Get it in motion. Even if it's not something gigantic, do something tonight. Number 11, commit to effort, not achievement. And this goes hand in hand with some of the things that I've been saying with intangible, intangible, and so forth, and activities. But judge yourself according to your effort, because at the end of your life, and this is some awareness that I had just, going through the experience with my mom and dad and my own mortality. At the end of your life, you're not going to care if you got it. It won't matter if you get your goals. What you're going to care is, can you look back and say, I went for it? So if that's what's ultimately going to matter anyway, then act like it. What matters is, do you go for it, not do you get it? So I don't want you to judge yourself based on whether you got the goals. I want you to judge yourself based on whether you gave it your best effort. And if you gave it your best effort and didn't get the goals, who cares? You should be enjoying the journey anyway, and that goal is probably a tangible ego goal anyway. Nothing drastic is going to happen to your life other than your ego is going to get bruised a little bit. But who cares? If you're happy and you didn't sacrifice relationships and you stuck to your integrity, then you're good. Number 12, commit to fundamentals, not to shortcuts. So many people are looking for shortcuts. They're looking for the magic bullet. They're looking for that secret sauce. There is no such thing, right? You ask anybody who's been successful in any endeavor, they'll tell you, I went to work and I did the fundamentals. But most people are searching for the anti-fundamentals that they can do to get there faster. Don't do that. This company is 50 years old, and it's 50 years old and multi-billion-dollar company for a reason, because it was built on fundamentals that still work. You're not missing anything. You're not missing anything that you haven't been taught already, unless you've been in the business 48 hours. If you've been in the business longer than 48 hours, you already know more than 90% of the skills that you're going to have to learn in order to do well in this business. And even if you didn't have those skills, if your driver was big enough, then you would learn the skills along the way. It's not about the information that you're missing and searching for that magic bullet. And you personally are not missing anything. Your creator didn't leave anything out of you. You're not a test project. You have everything you need inside of you to succeed at all levels. And if you ever dare think you don't, you're lying. I challenge you to look up at the sky and tell your creator, tell the big guy up there that he messed up, that he left something out of you. Really? I don't think you would do that. But that's really what we're doing when we're beating ourselves up, saying, I'm not good enough. I don't have this in me. I don't have the courage. I don't have the strength. Really? Look skyward and say that and see how that fits. And I bet that stops that whole line of thinking immediately. You're not missing anything. You just maybe haven't tapped into the drivers that you have to do. You haven't made some of these mind shifts yet. But you as a person, you're whole and complete and ready to go. Number 13. Oh boy. Commit to higher vision, not a common goal. A vision is going to tap into your drivers, and a vision is basically that fuel for you to do the activities to reach the target. So it's not about becoming a director. It's about what can you do with the platform once you're a director, and you've got to find that thing that lights you up and probably makes you cry. And if you have that as your vision, and that's the overriding thing that you're pointing to, and that's what you're more committed to, then all the goals along the way become so much easier to achieve, because that's not the main thing. The main thing is the vision. Commit to a higher vision. From a momentum standpoint and a purely business standpoint, commit to duplication, not do it for them. I have this conversation every single week with my coaching clients. Stop doing things for people and then expecting them to do it for themselves. Right? I always have a perfect parenting analogy that, if you've ever had a child, whether it's your child or somebody else's, try to put a puzzle piece into a puzzle and they can't figure it out. There's this moment in time that most parents or most adults, it takes, I mean, they just want so bad to reach over there and put the piece in the puzzle where it goes. And if you do that, you are robbing that child of the gift of knowing that he or she can do it themselves. And as soon as you put that puzzle piece in for them, you are literally planting a belief that they can't do it on their own. And there are so many people as adults who have limiting beliefs of I can't do it, that goes back to silly little incidents just like that. And because I hear it all the time where people go, I was never able to do things on my own. So if you want people to be independent, you must attract independence and you must cultivate it by letting them do things on their own. Now, that doesn't mean never help them, but certainly don't incubate them and don't sit on them, wait for them to hatch into a director and then expect them to fly. You know, I I had this analogy earlier when we were talking about this with a client. If you do all of your homework, if you do all of the homework for your child until they get into middle school, and then once they get into middle school, you expect them to start doing their homework, that's ridiculous. You've done all their homework up until now. So number one, they would expect you to keep doing the homework. But number two, you haven't given them the ability to do homework on their own because you robbed them of that. Same principle here. If you want people to be able to do things on their own, then let them do things on their own. Cultivate the independence that you're wanting in your business. And systems are critical when it comes to duplication. If you're the one that has all the answers and everybody needs to come to you, you can't duplicate yourself. All you can do is reach capacity at your particular, number of hours that you can give to everybody else. But if you really want leverage in your business, you've got to create systems where people know what to do, they know how to train themselves, they know where to go, and they can teach everybody else according to the same systems they were taught, right? Finally, number 15, commit to whatever it takes, not as fast as I can. This is one of the biggest challenges, one of the biggest core reasons that a lot of people don't succeed in life is because they're trying to go fast. They want what they want in this microwave mentality society that we live in, and they don't realize, or at least they haven't embraced the idea that personal development takes time. Now, it doesn't mean that it has to take the rest of your life, but it takes time. Don't try to cut corners. You've got to be willing to do whatever it takes. And everything you're trying to avoid is necessary for you to experience if you want to grow. I'm going to say that again. Everything you're trying to avoid is necessary for you to experience if you want to go, if you want to grow. So if you commit to try to avoiding those things, you are literally committing to not growing. I had somebody, I think she was kind of joking, post on my question. She's like, I want all the success without any of the hardships. You know, she spelled out a lot of the hardships, and I think she might have laughed or said he or something like that. But you know what? That's the way most people are operating. I want all the success without the rejection, right? I remember hearing this story one time. I don't know if it's real or a fable or whatever. But this guy, asked this master chef. He said, I really want to be a chef. Can you teach me how to be a chef? And the guy said, yeah. First of all, put this hat on. And the guy goes, well, no, I'm not going to put the hat on. He goes, what are you talking about? You got to put the hat on. And the guy says, well, I don't want to put the hat on. I just want to do all the other stuff. I want to cook and blah blah blah. And the old wise master chef said, well, then you clearly don't want to be a chef. And the moral of the story is there are certain things that just are necessary pieces of the journey. And if you are not willing to embrace those pieces, then you are just deciding to fail. You're checking out of the journey, right? And in Mary Kay, if you want to be, let me tell you about some of the things that I heard over the last couple of days that people want to avoid. In Mary Kay, if you want to be successful, but you don't ever want to get uncomfortable, if you don't ever want to feel doubts, if you don't want to feel fears, if you want to be successful, but you don't want to feel rejection, if you don't want people to lie to you, if you don't want to fail, if you don't want to get discouraged, if you don't want people to judge you, if you don't want people to quit on you, if you don't want to lose customers, if you don't want to hear excuses, if you don't want people not returning your calls, if you don't want people to give you wrong phone numbers, if you don't want people to write you bad checks that bounce, if you don't want people to not support you along the way, if you don't want people or if you don't want to see other people doing things that are outside of the Mary Kay way, if you are trying to avoid all of those things, then you don't want to be successful in Mary Kay. You will not find a national sales director that wouldn't tell you check on every single thing that I just said. Every single thing. I guarantee you there's not a national sales director that hasn't dealt with every single one of these. Or a director, for most of you, that hasn't dealt with every single one of these. So here's the thing. This is the necessary recipe for the very goals that you hold dear to you. So you cannot tell me that you want the goal without being willing to go through the recipe. So if you are committed and if you're ready to embrace the goal, then you must embrace the recipe. You must embrace quote unquote rejection. You must embrace people not showing up at your meeting. You must embrace people writing you bad checks. You must embrace all of that because it's necessary for your goal. You cannot pick and choose. You cannot say, I want the goal without the necessary path to the goal. So if you're committed to avoid what's on the path, you don't get the goal. Period. End of story. Like there's no more discussion. If you're not willing to embrace every single pothole on that road to where you want to go, you will never get where you want to go. So I want you to change your thinking, and I want you to not only embrace everything that you've got to go through, I want you to seek it out. I want you to search for it. I want you to search for more rejection, because more rejection equals closer to the goal that you have. I want you to search for people who are going to write you bad checks, because that means you're on the path. That means you're growing. That means you're going. I want you to search for people who are going to lie to you. I want you to open up your arms and say, bring me more of this stuff, because this is what I need to learn, and this is what I need to go through in order to get to that goal that I want. Now, when you find your drivers and that goal that stands on the other side of all of this negativity, when you find your driver, you will gladly move through all of that stuff, because that vision and that drive that you have outweighs all of those fears. But if your goal is only focused on the intellectual reason why you should want to be in a pink Cadillac, your intellect does not have the ability to move through all of those things that I just said and more. So that's why you've got to have the drive. You've got to have that emotional strength for you to move through and embrace all of the things that are absolutely necessary for your growth and for your success. And I would rather you focus on growth than even success, right? So if you want what's available, you've got to embrace the journey all along the way. Seek it out, welcome it, say, come on, bring me more. That will completely change the game for all of you. Man, I wish I had more time. The most important thing that I can leave you with, and I will open it up to some Q&A here in a second. The most important thing that I can leave you with is just please go. Please get in motion. Nothing happens without you being in motion. Nothing happens when you're standing there wondering what might happen if you get in motion. Things happen when you get into activity. So no matter what you've got to do, like just go, just get in motion. That's why accountability is so important. And I will never, ever, 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 ever be the guy that will tell you that any journey worth traveling is going to be easy. I think the only easy journeys are the ones that will lead to mediocrity and lead to a life of regret and looking back and going, wow, I wish I would have pushed myself. Those are the only easy journeys that I know of. So if you have a journey that's worth traveling, then get after it. And it's not going to be easy, but I guarantee you it'll be worth it. And you'll be able to look back and say, wow, I went after it. I'm proud of myself for going after it. And man, that was a good life. Or man, that was a good run. Or that was a good effort, whatever it is. And I'm telling you, when you make some of these shifts, magical things can happen. And a lot of the tangible stuff that you're looking for is a byproduct of making some of these intangible shifts. So I just want to share a couple stories from a few people here. Antonella said that as soon as she got rid of perfectionism, her income tripled immediately. As soon as she got out of that perfectionism and moved into more excellence and what can I do, income changed immediately. Jim Cundiff, many of you know Jim. He actually just hit $650,000 club and the first male to ever do that in Mary Kay. Super proud of Jim. And basically Jim said, you know what? It was the 7 inches between my ears. And when I came home and that was cleared away, boom, explosion. And Jim was the king. He sat on the throne last year in Sapphire. I don't know if he's going to do it again this year. I haven't heard whether that's official or not. But it was just lit up because he pulled some of the restrictions off of him. I love Judy Geeson. Judy Geeson said she had just massive growth on her team. And her main concept was basically to focus on what she can control, and that the same mind that created the problem cannot solve the problem. And then this is something that I heard just recently. Another good friend and client, Shannon, she was really focused on the goal of getting into a car, and she wasn't on track to get into it. She was really freaking herself out. And we had a talk, and then she decided to focus on the fun instead of focusing on the outcome. And I love what she says here. So I allow myself to focus on the fun instead of the results. And in the process, the results found us. Oh, that is so good. That is so rich. In the process, the results found us. So she cruised past the goal that she wasn't on track for as soon as she stopped trying to track the goal, and she focused on the journey and she focused on fun, and her energy came back, and there was just so much more, engagement in her business and so forth. So here's like a choice point for you. I think you've got two choices. If you feel that you've been stuck in your business, you've got really two paths to take. You can continue doing the same thing. You can continue following the same patterns and continue trying to swim against the stream. And I know that if you keep following the same recipes, you'll usually keep finding the same thing coming out of the oven. Or you can change the game. You can commit to doing whatever it takes and lock onto your goals and make this absolutely your best year ever. You must change the recipe if you want to change the result. Now, I don't know what you're going to choose, but my invitation to you is to choose wisely. Now, if you want my help, I'm going to do something that I haven't done in the Mary Kay world for about a year and a half. I haven't led any live coaching programs for about a year and a half, but I'm deciding to do that. And a lot of it is because of the energy that we got in the community right now. The people that are so active on the Pink Caddie fan page, on the Pink Caddie blog, and so forth. and I just want to, I want to serve that energy. So I have decided to do a live group coaching program. Live meaning I'm going to get on the call, I'm going to be available for Q&A afterwards and so forth. And I want to walk you deeper through a lot of the things that we talked about. Now, hopefully I gave you a lot of good stuff, content on tonight's call, but also you got to know there's so much deeper that we can go with basically every single bullet point that you saw in the webinar tonight. There's a depth that we can go to. So I actually love the phrase "whatever it takes." And I was trying to decide, like, what do I even call this program today? But that's who I want. I want people that are willing to do whatever it takes. Now, this is not like just go and just talk to 50 people a day and just continue to do activities and run yourself ragged. Whatever it takes, it has a spin to it. It's not just do more activities. It's whatever it takes for you, because each and every one of you are individual. So what is it going to take for you? What's the driver that you have in order to get your goal? What's the game plan that you've got to come up with for yourself? So there's flexibility in this title of whatever it takes. Whatever it takes for you in terms of changing the recipe that's not working, but also having that mentality that I'm in it. This thing that I'm going for, this vision is so big that I'm committed to the journey and I'm committed to do whatever it takes. The program is for basically everybody, consultants, directors. I don't have any kind of distinction here. I want to go deeper into these 4 things specifically. Goal getting. It's not about goal setting, but goal getting. We're going to go deeper into creating a game plan, deeper into setting yourself up with supportive systems and how to use accountability. I want the next couple months for you to be a time where you're building foundational systems that are going to last a long, long time. So I want to give you everything that I possibly can and everything that I know about goal getting. I also want to teach you even more about building momentum. We talked about that tonight. I haven't really talked about sales and recruiting at all, but I'm not doing you any kind of service if I don't at least address that in the Mary Kay world. So we will talk about sales and recruiting. How can you sell authentically? How can you recruit with the right kind of energy and so forth? We'll talk about mindset throughout, because that is so important. It's so crucial to have the right mindset so you can implement all of these things. And we're going to have all kinds of other stuff that comes up. Honestly, there's going to be times when I might say, you know what, a theme that's showing up in my coaching calls is this. And I might talk about whatever the theme is. Or maybe it's something seasonal that has to do with, something that Mary Kay is doing, like if they choose to put on another promotion or something like that. So there's a lot of fluidity in the curriculum here. But these are the main 4 things that I want to dive deeper in so that you can make this year the best year yet, and so that you can have foundation and you can start strong. And we're going to start this about mid-August. I want you guys to get through the seminar season. I don't want you to be worried about starting any programs right now in terms of the actual calls. I will certainly invite you to jump into the program, but we're not going to actually start the calls until mid-August, so that you can get back from seminar, you can learn everything that you want, and then I can help guide you starting like mid to late August and really implement some of the things. We're going to put some bonuses on here. One of the bonuses that we offer a lot is a 2-month free trial in our Eagles Club, which is a group coaching program every single month. You're also going to get a one-on-one implementation call at the end of the program with one of our coaches that'll help you implement any of the things into your personal, unique life that we learn throughout the program, right? So I think that's a really, really valuable piece. I was going to do 1 live coaching call, laser coaching call, and then I got a little giddy thinking about this, and I bumped it up to 2, and then I finally settled on 3. So we're going to have 3 laser live coaching calls with me. I'm going to jump on. You're going to ask me whatever you need to ask me. And it's only going to be people within this crowd, right? And then finally, I might be most excited about this. You're going to have 1 live Q&A call with Margie Alaprandi. Many of you know Margie. I've done a couple calls with her. Margie she's literally a direct sales icon. She's done things in this business, in this industry, that nobody's ever done before. She currently has a team. Listen to this. This might make you choke. She currently has a team of over 250,000 team members worldwide. At one point in time, her team was over 500,000 before the economy crashed in Eurasia. And this lady, she's been in direct sales for over 25 years. And like I said, she's done things in the industry and in her company that nobody's ever done before, literally. and she just has a heart of gold. She embodies everything that we've been talking about on this webinar. And I've asked her if she would do one live coaching call, a laser call, Q&A call. You can ask her anything that you want. You can ask questions ahead of time. And that Margie will change your life. Just being in Margie's space will change your life. There were a handful of people that came out to a coaches camp that we did a few months ago, and Margie was there, and they will all tell you she oozes everything that we've been talking about. She emanates just love, and it radiates from every ounce of her being, and that's really how to be successful anywhere, but especially in direct sales. And too many people are focused on the how to and what to says and all that kind of stuff. And Margie will change your life. She'll change the way you think about business. She'll change the way you think about yourself. I just adore Margie. We're going to be doing a lot of work together going forward. And I've asked her if she'll do one call with this group only. And this is going to be an intimate call because it's only going to be with the people that jump on, whatever it takes. And it'll just be awesome. So the total bonus value is well over $1,000. I mean, you wouldn't be able to get time with Margie like that anyway. She doesn't even do that coaching, for the people that are on her own team. I mean, they can't buy her, her coaching. I mean, of course she supports them, but she doesn't even do that kind of work. So there's like literally, I can't even put a dollar amount on that. But it's a super high value program. Obviously, the bonuses are awesome. And if this is really speaking to you, then join us. Here's the investment. The investment is only $97. And what you're going to get for $97 is you're going to get 2 months starting in mid-August of deep dive work on how you can change the game in your business and how you can create a foundation for this year that'll breeze you past all of your goals and anywhere you've ever been before. And that's really what my intention is for this, for this program. And so it's going to be 8 weeks, basically 2 months. You're going to have the extra 3 calls with me. You're going to have the extra call with Margie. So we're really looking at about 3 months of live coaching and implementation strategies with Margie and myself for only $97. I mean, just think about what would happen in your business when you remove some of the fears that you have, when you implement some of the strategies, when you are recruiting, one more person. If you can recruit one more person over the course of all of next year, then this program has paid for itself. And if we can't help you recruit one more person, please ask for your money back, right? Because, I mean, how can Margie, who has 250,000 people on her team, not help you make at least a $97 shift in your business? So it's all totally guaranteed. If you don't like what we're doing, if you don't think that we delivered on anything, tell us. We'll give you your money back. But that's the investment that we're looking at. It's less than $100. And we're really talking about completely changing the game going forward in your entire business. So if that's exciting to you, you can go to that website right there. It's pinkcaddiecoach.com/WIT live. WIT live, which stands for whatever it takes live. See if there's anything that I'm missing. I don't think so. But here's what I'll leave you with. A lot of people see an opportunity like this and they go, "Oh, it's $97. I don't have $97 in my pocket. I don't have it in the budget. I don't have all that stuff." That's lack mentality. That's scarcity mentality. Because if you continue asking yourself the question of what's the cost of taking action, then you will constantly give yourself reasons to not take action. Because you're asking your mind to find reasons to not grow. A better question to ask yourself, and this is what all significant people do, is they ask themselves, what's the cost of not taking action? That's a better question. What's the cost in this case of not investing $97 in yourself? How much money are you leaving on the table? How much personal growth might you be leaving on the table? How much influence might you be leaving behind that you could have shared with other people? What's the cost of not taking action? And if you ask yourself that question with anything, not just with my program right now that's in front of you, but with anything that has to do with investment, whether it's money, time, energy, whatever, if you ask yourself that question, what's the cost of not taking action? I guarantee your life changes because you'll start looking at opportunities differently. And what most of us are afraid of is looking back on our life with regret. And we will always regret the things that we don't do, the things that we didn't try, way more than the things that we tried, even if they didn't work out. So that's the question I want you to ask yourself, not just with this program, but with every opportunity going forward. What's the cost of not taking action? And I would suggest each and every one of you from this point forward, you ask that question to the people that you are doing interviews of. Plant that seed. What's the cost of not joining Mary Kay? Right? What's the cost of not taking action? So that's the opportunity here for you. This $97 price is it's a limited price. We'll probably sell this for about 150, about 147, which I think is still a steal after seminar. When it comes back, it's going to be $157. But for the next week or so, I'd say let's put it the next week, you're going to have the opportunity to jump in at $97. But I don't have this on any of these slides, so I'm going to make something up on the spot here. I'm going to give sorry, I had to drink some water. I'm going to give the first 50 people that join this program, I want to incentivize you to take action. Unapologetically, I want to incentivize you to take action and jump in. So the first 50 people, let me put that website back up. The first 50 people that take action and join us on this, I'm going to send you an audio program, probably called The Secrets of Success in Direct Sales. You know what? I'm going to send you some good stuff. I truthfully, I didn't even think about this. I'm thinking about this right now, but I'm going to send you at least $100 worth of really, really high quality information that's going to supplement everything that we're doing here. I'm going to send you some really nice bonuses for the first 50 people that jump on board with us here. If I would have thought about this before, I would have had a slide up here that shows you exactly what I got. But we literally have over 100 audio programs. So I'm gonna, for whatever reason, nothing's jumping to me in my mind right now because I've been so focused on this program that's just what's in my awareness. But once I kind of cool off here in a moment, I'm gonna pick out at least one, but at least $100 worth of audios that I'm gonna give you access to for the first 50 people that jump in. So if you're ready, if this is speaking to you, then jump on in. Go to pinkcaddiecoach.com, WIT dash live, and get in. So I hear Teresa. Teresa says I am registered. Awesome. Welcome, Teresa. Kirsten says I'm in and paid for. Woohoo. Diane says, can you tell that I really, really want this? Yes, I can tell, Diane. So looking forward to having you in this program. Charlene, I'm in and paid for. Awesome, Charlene. Welcome to the club. So I know we have at least 4 people that have said they're in. As you come in, just go ahead and tell me so I can kind of get a sense of the people that are jumping in. This program will change your life, you guys, because I want this to completely shift the way that you operate in your business from the beginning of the year so that when you create this kind of momentum and let it build going forward, magic happens. Absolute magic happens. Winifred says, I'm in. Woo. Angie, I'm in. Jenny, in and paid for. Diane, I've registered. Awesome. Stephanie, I'm in. Irene, I can't see the whole comment here. I can't read the whole comments because if I click on it, my screen goes away. Naya, done, sweet. So anyway, if it's calling to you, jump on in. It's going to be super valuable. I'm going to do everything I can to give you everything I have over the last 8 weeks. And truthfully, I don't know this to be true, but if I had to choose right now, this will probably be the last live group group coaching program like this that I do in the Mary Kay world, just specifically for Mary Kay. Margie and I are going to do a lot of stuff, but it's going to be direct sales only. So this is a chance for you to just be in with other Mary Kay people, which is great because we can talk about Mary Kay specifics. We can talk about Mary Kay language. I've been in the Mary Kay world for 8 years. I know, I know the language. I know what you guys are up against. I know the culture. I know so much of this. And so I'm really excited about that piece, but this is probably the last time that we're going to do this specifically for any one company. What we'll be doing going forward will be general for everybody. Let's see. Terry, I'm in. Awesome. Beatrice, I'm in. Brenda, go for it. Registered and paid. Trish, Charlene, tonight's call is awesome. Cool. Eleanor, I keep trying to get in, Let me check this. I think my screen is going to go away here in a moment. Oh no, it didn't. Something changed. Cool. I keep trying to get in and I can't. Uh, just send me an email, Eleanor, if you're not able to get in. Just send me an email and we'll figure it out, or I'll just send you a direct link or something like that. Sue Ann is in. Suzanne's in. Stephanie, Laura. Oh, Laura says error when I tried to make my payment. If you guys are having trouble getting in, we'll fix all of this stuff. Um, I can't get connected. Yeah, so several people are showing a database error. There's a possibility if we have a lot of traffic going to our site right now, maybe our site is just not able to handle the traffic or something. That's happened a couple times in the last couple weeks. But if you're not able to get in and you send me an email at Sean@pinkcaddiecoach.com if you're not able to get in and you want to get in, because that way that kind of solidifies your place in that first 50. And if more than 50 people join, but I have an email from you in my inbox that says I want to get in, but I wasn't able to, we're not going to let technology get in the way here. So send me an email if you guys are getting any kind of errors, and there is a good chance that that there's a website issue. Yeah, database error. I don't know what database error is. Interesting. But let it keep going. So for any of you that are getting a database error or something like that, keep trying because your website just might take 5 or 10 minutes to load. There was somebody that said it took 5 minutes the other day. When our website gets bogged down like this, sometimes it literally takes like 5 minutes, or maybe checking a different internet browser or something. Yeah, huge lag time, Elizabeth. I'm with you. Heidi says I can't get in. Dang, I'm really bummed that a lot of people are not are not able to get in. So it seems like there's some technology problems on our site's fault. Some people are saying I can't put my credit card in and so forth. But it's working for a lot of people. A lot of people are already in. Um, Barbara says I'm in. Michelle, I'm in. Yeah, Yolanda, it crashed. It might have crashed. It might have actually. This will be the first time that I ever did. You guys, we had like 1,600 people registered for this webinar. I mean, the amount of excitement just happening right now is crazy. So I wouldn't be surprised if all of you hungry Mary Kay ladies have literally downed the system. Stephanie, I'm in and paid. Awesome. Kathy, sweet. Jump in. Katrina, I'm in. Felicia, I'm in. Welcome, you guys. Um, Naya, cool. Okay, so let me take a little bit of Q&A. Let's jump ahead here. Let's see. Okay, the cost of not taking action is the best question to ask. Oh, to get your free recording, this should be really fun. I've never done this before. For those of you that are on social media, do this on Twitter or do this in Facebook for sure. What I want you to do is I want you to post on Facebook and just share something that you liked about this webinar. I know a lot of you have been pretty active. It looks like uh, Kathy's been really active during this webinar, and I appreciate that. She's been posting stuff on Facebook. It's been coming through on my phone. If you're on Facebook, this will be pretty fun. So what I want you to do is just share something that you liked about the webinar. It could be like a single thing or just an energy that you have or whatever. And hashtag, for those of you that don't know, Facebook is doing hashtags now. So hashtag Pink Caddie Coach. And let's see if we can get Pink Caddie Coach trending. And you can hashtag whatever it takes if you want. Actually, that would be kind of cool. Hashtag whatever it takes. Hashtag just means that little pound sign in front of, so just like you see it on the screen here in pink, put that somewhere in your post. And what'll happen is sometime later, tomorrow or on the weekend, when I get the recording ready, this is really cool. I'm just going to go into Facebook and search hashtag Pink Caddie Coach, and all of your comments that mentioned that hashtag will show up to me. So I will see a list of all of the comments, and this is going to be easier for me than if you guys send me an email. Now, if you're not on Facebook, first of all, what? What? Yeah, you gotta get on Facebook. That's where all the fun's happening. But if you're not on Facebook for whatever reason, or it's freaking you out and you can't do it, then you can send an email to info@pinkcaddiecoach.com with the subject line "recording, please," and my assistant will collect those emails and get it. But I'm really excited about this. I want to see if we can hashtag and start trending Pink Caddie Coach and whatever it takes. I should have written that in there. whatever it takes on Facebook. So when you do that, I will, when I get the recording ready, I'll send it to you, to all of you that have hashtag Pink Caddie Coach. I'll direct message you, or I'll just comment on your comments or something like that, and I'll get you the MP3 so that you can listen. I'm sure most of you see. Uh, Somebody says, Andrew says, don't talk to me about Facebook. I'm going through withdrawals right now. Sorry. Yeah, I get Facebook withdrawals too. The email to send, since you can't register. Oh, the email, Suzanne, is sean@pinkcaddiecoach.com. Or you can respond to any of the emails that you've gotten from me. Uh, but if you replace info, the one that you see on the screen here with Sean@pinkcaddiecoach.com, that comes directly to me, and I'll know exactly what we were talking about, obviously, on the webinar. I forgot what I was going to say. I think we were just talking about Pink Caddie Coach, and hopefully we can trend that. So anyway, cool. Brittany says just post it on Facebook with hashtag. Awesome. Very, very cool. All right. So again, if there's any technical challenges, go ahead and send me that email. We'll get you guys all taken care of. And man, this is gonna be fun. There's so much energy right now. There's tons of people saying, I'm in, I'm in, I'm in. Let's go. And that's what I love. So let's do a Q&A now. So what I'm going to do is I am going to drop all of your hands. So nobody has their hand raised anymore. And if you have a question that you want to ask me, I want you to raise your hand, and I will unmute you individually if there's a question you want to ask, or if there's a comment that you want to make.